on Newsx.
To be the most interesting thing you've ever done. Sit down, you squirming worm of vomit. Did you say butter? In this classroom, in this school, I am God!
This is a world of storybooks and movies, but art often imitates real life, and eerily at that. While Matilda may have given us a few laughs, it also brought to the surface a very important fact. A fact that has become inescapable for any student studying in school in India, that they can get beaten up, spanked and bullied by their teachers, all in the name of discipline. These are teachers who torture. Do we look back on our school days and remember the fun and the scoldings and the tweaking of the ear and an occasional slap for not finishing our homework? But for some children, their teachers are straight from hell. While restraint and discipline are important things that an errant child must be taught, at no point is there any justification for a teacher to turn into a tormentor.
ਇੱਥੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੇ ਮੁਰਗੇ ਵੀ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਮੁਰਗੇ ਬਣਾ ਕੇ ਪਿੱਛੋਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਛੋਟੀਆਂ ਮਾਰੀਆਂ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ
हम हॉस्टल में नहीं रहना चाहते थे तो हमको 2 बार बुलाए फिर तीसरी बार बुलाए पहले इतना नहीं मारते थे उसके बाद हमको बहुत मारे हैं पैर से जब बच्चे स्कूल से निकल रहे थे तो हम भी निकलने लगे इस वजह से बहुत मारे हैं
जब प्रिंसिपल साहब ने उसको मोबाइल पकड़ा और मैंने ये देखा उसने उसको खूब मारा पीटा धुलाई की बहुत और यहाँ से काला मुंह को कर दिया और दूसरे तो उसको हाथ पीछे से बांधे पीछे और खूब पिटाई की
सर मैं बहुत ही बैड कंडीशन में हूँ सर इसमें बहुत मैं सर दरिया में कूदना चाहता था सर फिर मुझे भाई ने सर बचाया वहाँ
पहले कॉपी से आंख में मारी फिर थप्पड़ों से मारी
Ironically, these school children are lucky in that they at least live to tell their tale of shock and horror. Others were not that lucky and succumbed to their injuries. This is Mohammad Ismail Hussain, a class 10 student of a private school, the Royal Embassy High School in Hyderabad, who died just a few days ago. He was only 15 years old. Hardly an age to die, you would think, but hardly an age and a body to deal with the inhuman punishment meted out to him by his class teacher.
मेंटल हो गया था वो मेंटल इसलिए हुआ था वो मेरे को डॉक्टर बुला के बोले ये बच्चे को क्या कोई शौक हुआ क्या पूछे वहाँ पे स्कूल में टीचर उन लोग के साथ ये लोग पनिशमेंट देने से जहन में ये आ गया जिसकी वजह से ये ऐसा हो गया इसको
Ismail was made to do 300 continuous sit-ups as punishment for quarreling with a fellow classmate. What perhaps the teacher didn't know was that Ismail had undergone an operation on one of his legs and a rod was put in the limb, and the child, scared, cornered and fearful of more punishment, didn't speak up. He developed fever and was taken to 4 different hospitals before his body finally gave up on him.
स्कूल मैनेजमेंट के खिलाफ एफआईआर करे थे 304A के अंदर। अभी इन्वेस्टिगेशन चालू है। बच्चे को हॉस्पिटल OGH को पोस्टमार्टम के एग्जामिनेशन के बारे में लेके जा रहे हैं।
We will conduct a detailed inquiry on students, teachers and school management. After that, what will conclusion? I will take action, and also we will recognition also cancer.
Ismail's parents and relatives, in shock and traumatized after his senseless death, went back to the school and ransacked the premises. But for all their outburst of anger, they still can't get their son back. And this is not an isolated incident for this school, it's the second.
इससे पहले भी रमजान में एक केस हुआ स्कूल में, ये सेकंड केस है, पनिशमेंट दे रहे हैं यहाँ पे।
We have actually, as a society, we have failed to protect our children, not only in Delhi but in other parts as well. The police is investigating these cases in isolation.
For most of us, our school was our home away from home, a place where we made friends for life, where we had teachers who mentored us, and we learned lifelong lessons. But for some children, school can be a really dark place if they're not treated with respect, with dignity.
Unless we understand that violence against children that physically and mentally harms a child in the name of discipline is actually a criminal act, till then people will just continue doing what they're doing.
And sometimes school teachers brutalize them so much that they are so scared to stay back in the school, so from home or school they just run away.
Perhaps it's a fallout of the patriarchal society which sees women and children as inferior, as subjects to be controlled and disciplined. Perhaps it's also a factor of our modern lifestyle, and with the rise in more couples earning and spending less time with their children, experts insist that the child has to learn strict discipline, and more often than not, it's the school teachers who have to double up as strict disciplinarians as well.
Lack of contentment, lack of happiness is permeating the consciousness of children, and so they display it in different manifestations. Either they are weeping all the time, or they're angry, or they'll pick up another child's head and bang it against the wall, or there are so many ways, and you can see it from nursery going all the way up. So when you talk about early identification, it means that you must be constantly engaged with parents to see what exactly is happening in the homes. And so because ultimately in a school, we're all stakeholders.
There's a very fine line between sparing the rod and saving the child in India. And who really decides where being strict ends and harassment begins? Take a look at what a recent study conducted by the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights found. The practice of abusing children verbally by attacking their psyche occupies the top rank in the list of punishments in schools. As many as 81.2% of the children were subjected to outright rejection by being told they are not capable of learning. 3 out of 5 school children were beaten with a cane as a form of corporal punishment. An alarming 99% had experienced some corporal punishment. The 4 most common forms of physical punishment being beaten by the cane, being hit on the back, being boxed on the ears and being slapped.
Essentially, it's about power. At the bottom of it is all about power. Who do you have power over? In a patriarchal society, you have power over women. It is easier to have power over children. So you assert power by invoking violence. And that's what we are seeing around us, that you use violence to control, to assert power and dominance.
Normally we need to create a very sensitive national system in which such children can be taken care of, they can be educated till they become independent and can survive on their own.
Schools are called temples of learning, and that's indeed where most of us learn our lifelong lessons. We also learn discipline and are made to learn how to become better human beings. Perhaps that's what the focus should really be on. Focus on the child and not really so much on the means of getting the child to obey a command. Corporal punishment is a tragedy beyond proportions that's unfolding in the heart of a vibrant 21st century India. In a country where right to education is made a fundamental right, how can horrific incidents like these happen and continue?
It could possibly be that, the pressure is so much that the stress and the pressure. Often we know that violence is, in the larger context, often violence is a result of stress and pressure also. So it is quite possible that in this instance, when we're talking about corporal punishment, that the stress and pressure that teachers or even parents bring into their own lives gets manifest in violence against the children. It is quite possible.
You hear words like, or phrases like, it's a theatre of war out there. Teachers are sometimes frightened to go into class because there is such a lack of respect, and it's very hard to, within inverted commas, control the class or discipline the class. But discipline is a two-way process. So not only do you train the teachers, you've also got to make the students understand that there is a code of conduct.
I think one would feel vulnerable as a child when I was young, because if the parents gives you to the school and says, whatever you feel like, we have faith in you and you can do what you want with the child. It's okay if you've been in a school like mine, where people were highly sensitized, but it worries me to think that when you hand over your child like this to somebody, is it really the right thing to do?
But what limits can a teacher really go to? And if you thought your child is protected, that this can't happen with you, you have to look no further than one of Kolkata's most prestigious schools, La Martiniere. Who doesn't remember Rowanji Dravla? He was a happy-go-lucky 13-year-old and the youngest of 3 children. For his father, who owns a furniture shop, putting his child through a top-notch school in Kolkata was a matter of pride. Little did he know that his sensitive child was being caned at school every day. And the principal admitted that caning for him was a way to discipline the students. Unable to bear the physical and mental agony, Rowanji finally hung himself.
Really, there are extremely powerful people out there who are using all the influence that they can, and apart from that, they are being allowed to continue in school. All the evidence is from the kids at school, and they're holding such a position of authority over those children, and they're constantly influencing their minds, and they have such authority. I can't understand why the Board of Governors is allowing such people to continue in their chairs.
And even as the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights has found the school principal and 3 other teachers of La Martiniere School guilty of Rowanji's death, how sensitive we are as a society perhaps really comes out from the fact that all 4 accused are now out on bail. This in spite the fact that the then West Bengal Chief Minister Buddhadev Bhattacharya was compelled to speak out against the school following public outcry.
There's a law against it, there's no debate. If you let people hit your kids, there will be a monster there who will take out his frustration on your child, and you will not be able to save your child. It's not open to discussion. Nobody has the right to touch your child. Nobody. God gave them to us to love, not for some guy to beat them up.
Schools are temples of learning, a home away from home. And while discipline is important, what really drives teachers to use force?
we all know when we are being violent. Let's not delude ourselves. We know we are being violent, the child knows we are being violent, the rest of the society also knows what is violence. So this is just you know, we are fooling ourselves if we say we were not being violent. We're trying, you know, because we now more and more we know that hitting, beating, spanking, using the rod or using a stick is understood as violence. So now people have resorted to more creative ways of punishing children. They make them run around the play field. We were only making them run, they say, or they make them do sit-ups where they don't have any physical contact directly with the child, but we know it is punishment.
While instances like these have come into the limelight and the Supreme Court of India made corporal punishment a crime in the year 2000, there are specific laws that ban corporal punishment in India, like the Right to Education Act, which came into effect from April 1, 2010, prohibits physical punishment and mental harassment of students under Section 17, Clause 1. Section 23 of the Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection Act of Children 2003 penalizes any person guilty of physical or mental harassment of a child.
So to have that kind of a balance where you have to ensure that children grow up and become balanced adults and are able to make correct choices within limited spaces is the job of the school, which is an extremely challenging space, because that's the time when children are growing up, the adrenal rush is very huge, the identification process hasn't started, the identity understanding has not taken place yet, they're still evolving. And so how schools look at student development is integral to the kind of adult that will face us tomorrow.
In addition, the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights has come out with some additional guidelines, which include asking schools to constitute special monitoring cells to take prompt action in case of physical punishment or harassment of children. The NCPCR has suggested that school boards should ask the schools affiliated to them to ensure a corporal punishment-free environment. That would be one of the conditions for granting affiliation or recognition, while the practice of physical punishment or mental harassment should be one of the grounds for withdrawals of affiliation. It has also suggested that school teachers should provide a written undertaking that they would not engage in any action that could be construed as amounting to physical punishment, mental harassment or discrimination. All school children should be informed through campaigns and publicity drives that they have a right to speak out against physical punishments and mental harassment.
One of the things that we at Haq Center for Child Rights have done is that we have said that corporal punishment in institutions must be treated as torture, because that's the only way we can understand, because this is what they are doing when you use violence against a child in a custodial setting where child is powerless. It is torture.
What's also important is parents encouraging the child to speak out and be there for the child, so that the child has a support system to turn to and is not suffering in silence.
It was acceptable in those days. The students accepted it, the society at large accepted it, our parents accepted it. They never thought of going to school and complaining about it, that the teacher has rapped my child on the knuckles. No. But slowly, as society has evolved over the last, I've been in teaching for the last 30 years, everybody has become more aware of their rights.
There are countless instances of horrors that come into the limelight, more instances of shock and outrage than what any country as a member of a modern society should be comfortable with.
पहले इतना नहीं मारते थे, उसके बाद हमको बहुत मारे हैं पैर से.
मैं सर दरिया में कूदना चाहता था सर.
पहले कॉपी से आंख में मारी, फिर थप्पड़ों से मारी.
Nothing can justify swollen eyes, bruises on a child's body and humiliation that a child faces. In fact, more importantly, like in Ravanjit's case, the physical scars are only temporary. What a child can't bear is the mental agony, the pain and the loss of self-esteem that corporal punishment often brings in its wake.
It's not the physical act of getting the slap that is the the pain that you remember. It's the humiliation of having been beaten in front of so many children, made to stand up with your hands up, or being told to get out of the class and stand outside the class where every other child is passing by, and you become the butt of all attention. That is the time you remember, and children remember those.
While some argue that a minimum use of force is indeed required and necessary, there's another school of thought that says that teachers should be sensitized to just why a child is behaving in an errant manner, and instead of hitting or spanking the child, the teacher should make an effort to engage and communicate and explain their point of view.
It's very important to have that sensitivity to understand as to what is going in the child's mind, or what is happening for which the child has not completed his due work in time. And unless we address those issues, putting the blame on the child or hitting the child with a stick really doesn't solve any purpose. One, either the child would become too used to this kind of a punishment and the effect would go off, or else the child who's very sensitive and anxious by predisposition would feel very, very vulnerable.
If just with a stern look, if the child is controlled, what is the need to, I don't think there's any need to scold them or to, humiliate them.
Children will be of different kinds. There would be children who would be troubling a bit, there would be children who would not be troubling, but all of them are after all children, and we have to deal with the mind of the children to discipline them.
You have to be sensitized to the mood of the class when you enter in the morning. Sometimes they are in a mood to take whatever you there to. Sometimes they are just not in a receptive mood, so you have to take it out from them as to what they want to do, and giving this kind of liberty sometimes that, okay children, now today you are going to decide what you want to do. So it gives them a 50-50 partnership kind of a thing.
Perhaps Rabindranath Tagore put it most eloquently: where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, that's when we are proud citizens of a country. India is a 21st century nation who holds her place proudly amongst the nations of the world, and our children are our future. We owe every child a safe, loving and a happy childhood that would give them the strength to be mature and intelligent adults. And more importantly, we owe them a world where they are not scared or living in fear. While discipline is what every child must learn, corporal punishment at no time can be the answer.
Today's schooling, actual schooling, is not idealism. It's a reality if you really want to be out there. That's why I call it not a profession, but a mission. It's a mission, and you have to think about it, because ultimately this is who you have, this is what you have, what you're going to give to the world, this is your legacy.